And I'm finally back from vacation. I gotta tell you, great time. The family had a blast. Went down to Southern California, took a nice long weekend, and just got to enjoy the sun. We got out, went to Universal Studios, and saw the new Super Mario World, which was really, really cool. I think the best part was just seeing the smiles that my kids had. That to me is worth it all. It wasn't cheap, but seeing them smile and have a good time was worth every penny. So I'm so glad to be back in the chop shop. I'm so glad that you have joined me here. And I am ready and excited because today I'm answering your questions. Now, these usually kind of go all over the place because I kind of just say, hey, ask me anything. Ask me any question that is on your mind. Ask me anything that you're thinking about. And so they kind of vary from topic, but there were some great questions that kind of tie together. And I wanted to tackle these first because I felt like, man, these are awesome. These are really great questions. And they all kind of cover like the same topic. And so, first of all, I just want to say, if you sent in a question, thank you so much for doing that. Again, these are like my favorite episodes because it really, number one, some of your questions are hilarious. Love reading your questions. But number two, you guys asked some great questions. I'm like, I don't think I ever would talk about that unless they asked. Somebody asked me if I had any celeb crushes, which I wasn't sure if they're trolling me because I've already answered that question, or if they really just haven't listened to the other episodes, which makes me kind of sad. So that's you. If you ask me who my celeb crush was, go back, listen to past episodes, specifically the ones where I'm answering your questions, and trust me, I answer it there. So let's start off with these questions that kind of cover this same topic, same theme, because I feel like these are really, really good. And so if you are a young guy who is married, about to get married, thinking about marriage, even, hey, marriage is not going to happen in the next year or two, but obviously I want to get married, right here, okay? First question. Advice for new husbands. Advice for new husbands. Okay. There's so much that I could share. I could probably spend a whole episode about being a husband and what that means and things, your idea of what you think marriage is to what it actually really is and how much your world gets flipped around. This is what I'll say. Advice for a new husband. This is my advice if you just got married, about to get married, thinking about marriage soon. Marriage is a sacrifice, okay? If you are someone who at this point of your life is not comfortable sacrificing yourself in terms of what you want to do, your plan, like if you're not willing to kind of like not deviate from it, but like hearing another perspective or being okay and content with things not going the way that you want them to go, marriage, and especially in the beginning, is going to be pretty hard. Okay. There is a honeymoon phase. There is a period of time in the beginning where things are great. You're loving your marriage. You're loving living with the person that you love. You love being able to see them every day, spend time together, do marriage things, if you know what I mean. Like you love, there's a honeymoon period in your marriage that you completely enjoy. And when that ends is when marriage really begins, because it's where you start learning a lot about the other person and start learning about yourself too. And so I think advice for a new husband is this: if you have a difficult time giving up, sacrificing your will, sacrificing yourself for somebody else, marriage is gonna be hard. Okay, so if you're not married yet, think about that. If you are married, this is my advice for you. All right? This is something I learned. You can't change your partner. You can't change them. You can't change the person you're married to. So if you are married and thinking, There are things about my wife that I love, things about her that I never want to change, and there's things about her that I would like to change, and I'm going to change it. Don't. Stop. Don't even get there. Don't even go there. You can't change your spouse. You can't change your spouse. Like, there's nothing you can do that can change them. Now, I'm saying this because I went into my marriage thinking that I could change things about my wife. My wife, I love her. She's beautiful. She is kind. She's loving. There were personality things I was like, I think I can change that. I'm going to change it. My wife will tell you that that's true, and it is. I try to. Some days, like, there were times I try to, like, almost not force it, but, like, force it. You know, like, hey, no, we're going to do this. You're going to do this. Never worked, okay? Let me tell you something. The moment that I said, all right, God, I'm like, you're the one that's going to change her. It's not going to be me. The amount of growth that I've seen in my wife since I've done, like, not tried to, like, change my wife on my own, I've seen my wife grow, like, tremendously in areas that I would have liked to have changed her myself, but wasn't getting anywhere. I'm saying all this to say, like, you have to learn that marriage is a journey, and yes, you become one, but you're still two people. And that's where it gets kind of complicated, because it's like, well, God says that we're one, and we're one. Me and my wife, we're one, but we're also two people. We're also two, you know, like they're personality, like, differences and things that, like, we just don't see eye to eye with. Like, we're still two people, and learning how to kind of, like, overcome each other's disagreement or each other's personalities or each other's faults to remain united is a challenge, but it is worth it. Like, when you have those days where things are just smooth and you're seeing the growth in each other and you're honoring each other, like, it's so worth it. So I said a lot there. I'm telling you, I probably should do a whole episode for husband, like, just marriage. But yeah, here's another one. What has been the hardest part about being a husband? The hardest part about being a husband, I think, honestly, letting go of control. Like, like, being okay with, you aren't going to have control over, how do I say this? Like, you're not going to have control over your spouse. I don't control my wife. I know a bunch of guys are going to be like, what? You don't control your wife? That's your woman. You should be a man and control your wife. Like, and that's not the sense I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, it's not in my control. Like, it's in God's control. And that takes time, and it's a little hard to kind of get used to. Like, for me, it takes time, and it's a hard thing to let go and not be overly worried about it. You know, are there days that I'm worried, like, man, like, feel helpless or feel like I'm not going to be able to do anything? Yeah. But understanding, like, okay, but God's in control, and just because I'm not in control doesn't mean that things are going to go chaotic or everything is in chaos. No, it just means that I'm letting God do what he's supposed to do. And me, I'm just supposed to be faithful with what God has given me, my wife, our marriage, our relationship. I got to be faithful with that, right? And if I'm not faithful with that, then I'm not doing it right, you know? If I'm faithful with that and letting God just be in control and take care of the big things that I can't control, then things tend mostly to go smoothly, like that, you know. But I would say the hardest part for me about being a husband is just, like, knowing, like, I don't have control over this. There are things I just don't have control over. Even though I am the leader, the priest, the pastor of my home, there are things that I just don't have any control over. But when I just say, hey, God, you know what? I'm going to trust you. You have control over it. I think that's the best thing. Somebody asked me, do you love your life? I love my life. I love the people in my life. At this very minute, I love where I'm at in my life because I feel like things are happening, like God's moving, and like God's, opening doors. And the best part about where I'm at right now, like in where I'm at in my life, is I'm not like manipulating anything. I'm not trying to force things to happen. Like things are just coming and doors are opening, opportunities are being brought. I'm doing new things. There's things I'm nervous about that I'm stepping into. There are things that I'm excited about that I'm stepping into. There are things that I'm confident that I'm already in, that I've been stepping into. So like, I love my life, but I also love the people in my life, my family. I love my family. I love my wife and my kids. I love like where we're at as a family right now. What do I want more? Of course, I would love to be in a house. That's like my wife and I. That's our goal, is to be able to get into a house soon. But I love my life. I love my job. I love my church. I love my friends. I love the people. Like, man, life is good right now. Is it perfect every day? No, but life is good. So those are some great questions about like just being a husband and life and, so guys, again, thank you guys so much for asking these questions. I got a few more, some funny ones, but I want to cover this one first. Somebody asked me, which was actually a really great question. And they ask, have you ever boycotted a company for their anti-biblical agendas? Great question. In today's culture and society, pretty much every major company has some sort of anti-biblical agenda, message, thing that is pushing the machine, like something that's anti-biblical, something that goes against what God's word says, something that goes against what God says. And so, have I ever boycotted a company for their anti-biblical agendas? I would say not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not intentionally. So, look, a lot of these companies, they don't care. Almost all these companies, they don't care who you believe in. They don't care what you believe in, your morals, your values, who you voted for. They don't. What they care about is, are you spending your money here? That's what they care about. Let's use one for example, right? Let's talk about Starbucks for a little bit. I don't know everything that Starbucks is for or against. I know some, but I don't know everything. And yes, I'm very aware that some of their stuff is anti-biblical. They support things that the Bible does not. Goes against what God says. Now, I have friends who say, I will never spend another dollar at Starbucks. Great. Awesome. I have friends that say, I'm a believer, but you know what? I'm going to keep buying coffee from there because I enjoy their product. Great. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I don't think I would ever intentionally say I will never buy this from them again. I don't think I've ever done that. And here's why. Reason is because if I enjoy their product, I'm going to keep buying it. Okay? If I enjoy a Starbucks drink, if I enjoy, some of you people may not like this, if I enjoy a Disney movie, if I enjoy a particular type of clothing or shoe, I'm going to buy it. Now, what I mean is like I don't boycott intentionally means there are companies that I don't spend my money at, but it's not because they support anti-biblical agenda or have an anti-biblical agenda. It's mainly because like what they have is not really for me, or like not really my style. I would never buy anything Balenciaga. Okay, that's not me. Like, I'm not the type of dude that wears Balenciaga, so I would never spend my dollar there. Now, the stuff that came out on what they've done, what they kind of try to sneak by everyone's, sneak by everyone, is totally like not okay. I totally disagree with it. And so I can sit here and say I have never spent a dollar at Balenciaga, but it's not because I'm intentionally like boycotting them, just because, well, number one, their product I would never buy, doesn't fit me, who I am. And number two, now that I know, like, yeah, I'm not going to spend, a thing there. But I don't go out of my way to, make it a big deal. I feel like there are people like, look, if you disagree with a company's values and morals, and you feel like I cannot support what they're doing, so I'm not going to spend my money there, you have every right to do that. That is your money, your right to decide where you spend it. Where I'm a little like, is when you start blasting it everywhere and saying, how dare Hint make fake water that, takes advantage of poor people, and, and you make it this whole thing like I'm just never gonna buy Hint water again. I mean, I don't think that's true, but I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit different. You're really looking for some clout, right? For some support, for some just some shine of your own, and that's really not what I'm about. So, I've never boycotted intentionally a company for their anti-biblical agenda. Again, I'm very aware which companies which companies support things that I don't support. And honestly, guys, like, that's the company's right to support whatever. Just like it's my right to consume what they produce or not, and I don't think that whatever you pick, like, you should be judged for that. Like, I don't know. I just, if you are a Christian and you're just like looking for companies not to support, honestly, like, there's going to be some things that you're just going to have a hard time finding, like good quality stuff. There isn't many Christian owned agenda companies that make quality things. So honestly, you're going to have a hard time. If you enjoy quality, you're going to have a hard time finding things, like, if that's what you're all about, So anyway, great question though. I really, really like that question. Next question. What did you dream about last night? I don't remember. I honestly have a hard time remembering dreams. And I'm not the type of person that feel like God speaks to me all the time through my dreams. In fact, it's very, very rare. Like, I can count on one hand when I feel like God has shared something with me in a dream. Even more so, I think maybe 2 times. One for sure, because it was like 3 years ago. There might have been another time that I'm just not remembering. But for sure, there's at least one time that God spoke to me in my dream. But other than that, like, sometimes I dream random stuff. I could tell you what I dreamed, like, the other day. I dreamed that my friend was asking me why I gained so much weight. And I was like, I was eating. I got hungry and I ate. And I was looking at these before and after pictures, and I could see my face was blown up, and, I was like heavier, and I was like, oh shoot, I really did it to myself. But that's like a random thing. It's also kind of a fear of mine, honestly. Trying to eat better. Guys, okay. Low tangent here. I've lost about 25 pounds, probably about a year. It could easily be more, but I'm not the best when it comes to diet. I try to be. I really, really try to be. And I think where my weakness is I do really good when I'm at work all day. And then when I get home, I like to snack. I'm a snacker. So, like, especially after 8, 9 o'clock, I'm like, I'd like to snack on something. And then the weekends, I don't stick to the same plan. I kind of just eat, So I could have lost more, but I haven't. Anyway, the reason I'm saying all this is because currently I'm in the middle of like I feel like I'm starting to gain some weight back again. And I've been hitting the gym. Like I'm like, okay, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta do at least 3 times a week, but gotta go 4. 5 would be amazing. And I'm kind of finding myself like just kind of like not unmotivated because I'm still getting up super early and going, but I kind of find myself like kind of like losing some steam. So if you guys have any tips or anything on maybe just like how to like remotivate myself, I'm thinking about doing like a low carb diet for a little bit and trying it out, which is gonna be super difficult because I love bread. I can eat bread all day, just bread. I seriously, I could just eat sourdough bread all day. But I'm thinking about going to a low carb diet and trying it out. Not trying it out, but just being on it for a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, to try and like cut some weight. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Leave it down in the comments and let me know if you have any suggestions for that. Okay, 2 more questions, a couple of funny ones. Okay, let's see. Well, yeah, why not? Let's do this one. The longest time you've ever gone without showering. Okay. When I was a teenage boys, I think the longest I went was 4 days. 4 days? It was 4 days. 4 days without showering. Let's just say I'm pretty sure my mom or my dad probably told me it was time to get in the shower. It probably wasn't a choice. I was probably forced. Good question. So you're eating at 3 p.m. Okay. Are you having a late lunch or an early dinner? Easy. You're having early dinner. Okay. If you are eating after, let's just say 2, that's still a little too late for me, but let's just say it's past 2, it's too late for lunch. Okay. Lunch can be from 11. For me, 11 to 1. That's lunch for me. If you missed that time, my wife is notorious for this, babe. I love you, but you're notorious for this. If you don't eat during lunchtime and then say, okay, but I need to eat lunch and it's 4:00, or we eat at 3:00 and you say, and then later on you're going, well, that was lunch. That wasn't a dinner. I'm going to look at you like you're crazy. Okay. Lunch between 11 and 1. If it's any later than that, if it's 3:00, you guys, that's early dinner already. Okay. 3:00 is early dinner. It's not lunch. All right. Kids are in school and by 3:00, they're already coming out of school. Can't be lunch. Kids had lunch earlier in the day. Lunchtime, 11 to 1. That's a sweet pocket of time for lunch. If you miss it, guess what? You missed lunch. Okay. You just missed lunch. Just forget about trying to catch up and just deal with the fact that you missed lunch that day and now you're going straight to dinner. Okay. I like that question though. Let's see. Okay. This is where the anonymous questions kind of become tricky because depending on who sent this kind of, changes my answer. But somebody asked me, do you have any cute friends? Okay. If you are a girl who sent me this, yes, I do. Okay. Now, I'm not Cupid. I'm not the type of person that's going to be like, hey, let me, hey, why don't you be here at this time? And I'm just going to, like set my friend up without him even knowing it and then just be walking with him and be like, oh, didn't know you would be here. Well, guess what? This is my friend so-and-so, meet my other friend, something like, I do introductions, okay? So the next time I see you, I'm with my friend. Hey, this is so-and-so. Hey, this is so-and-so. Yeah, and kind of just let you guys talk. Like that's what I do. So if you're a girl that sent me this, yes, I do have cute friends for you. If you are a guy who sent me this, man, what you doing? What you doing? There's so many ways that you can meet somebody. Number one is going to church. Go to church. I met my wife at church. I kind of grew up in church, and my wife was at church as well. So that's kind of how we met. But go to church. I'm telling you, most guys end up going to church because they're looking for somebody. if you're looking for a good woman and somebody you can, trust and confide in, and someone who's got a good foundation, like, go to church and find a single girl there, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna do pretty good. Okay, so but if you are a girl sending me this, yes, I do have cute friends. You can let me. I don't know who this is. That's the thing. The anonymous questions. I don't know who you are. So, but you can send me it, and I will. I can, reach out to me. Let me know. Hey, that was me. Got you. I got somebody I can introduce you to. Man, I think that was all of the questions I had on here. Yeah. Well, there's like a few others, but whether for you, hands, tell me. Oh, somebody asked me. So we went to Universal Studios on our vacation, and I think somebody thought we went to Disneyland. So they asked me what was the worst thing about Disneyland. I'm not going to get into Disneyland because I haven't been there in a few years, but I'm going to get into Universal Studios. So the worst thing about Universal Studios, and in fact, the worst thing about the Super Mario World, was there were way too many people. Luckily, my wife thought ahead and got these early access passes, so we were able to get into the park an hour before it opened. And so we had a good hour of being in Super Mario World and really enjoying it. Guys, no joke. The park opened at 8. By 8:10, that thing was packed. Like, people were just streaming in there, and before I knew it, like it was crazy. I don't mind being in big groups of people, but Super Mario World, if you've seen it, it's pretty contained. It's not a very big space, honestly. It's pretty small. And the way it's set up is you walk into it and like all the stuff is like, around like this. And then the middle is kind of open for all the traffic. So if you're walking around in the middle, like there's no way for people to really filter, it's like, there's like all the traffic is in the middle of Super Mario World. So that was probably the worst thing at Universal Studios or Super Mario World, was just that there were so many people. Universal Studios, though, was great. We really enjoyed our time. Our kids are a little bit on the younger side, so like the park is really for preteens and teenagers. Although they did have some kids stuff there, but we were able to do tons of fun stuff with our kids, and our kids had a blast. And so, I'm like, we really had a great time, and the weather was perfect. It wasn't like super hot. I did work on my farmer's tan, even though I don't have, somewhat at least. I worked on my farmer's tan, and so I was able to kind of even out the skin tone a little bit. So, hey guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys for joining me each and every week. I want to do a kind of like a fun episode this week to kind of get back into the groove, if you will. I took a week off, and so now I'm coming back. I am really excited for these future podcast episodes. I'm going to be bringing guests on, guys. I'm telling you, I have people who are, who've come to me and said, hey, let me know. I want to come on. And I'm like, yes. There's one thing, though, that kind of is keeping that from happening every week. And the reason why I have kind of held off a little bit, and honestly, to be 100 with you guys, it's equipment. Okay. As you guys can see, I have this great microphone, which is really cool. And then I'm shooting it on my phone. And so sometimes logistically, to bring another person in here, like when I had a Ruthie in here, my wife, it was just a little bit out of an extra stretch that I had to do, like play with some equipment and patch things together and make it happen. So I can make it happen with what I got. I'm just letting you guys know the reason why no one else has come on yet is just because I'm figuring out some logistics with the equipment. But I have people coming on. It's going to be great. You're going to hear some amazing stories, some amazing people, some amazing friends of mine that they're going to share the story, and it's going to blow you away. And as always, like, this podcast is really to encourage you. I know I have women that are listening, and ladies, I appreciate you for your support. Thank you so much. I brought my wife on so that you guys could feel there was somebody, on the episodes that like kind of you could kind of relate with. Um, for me, my heart is just to encourage guys, to encourage young men, to encourage married men, to encourage dads, to encourage guys who want to be married and be dads, or guys who just want to make their life better and start preparing themselves for that chapter in their lives. Like, I just want to encourage you. That's really what I want to do, because my story, like, I could easily not be here, but God had a plan for me. And I'm really here to just let you know that regardless of what you've gone through, regardless of what you faced, regardless of what has come your way, your story is not over, man. Your story is not over. God's not done with you. He can turn it around. And if you just give him the opportunity, if you just gave Jesus an opportunity to just be your Lord and be your Savior, if you just trusted him with your life, you would see the beauty in your story. You would see how he would use your story and elevate you and help other people who may be in similar situations. And that's what I want to do. I want to share my story, because I know there's guys out there who are struggling with pornography, guys who are struggling with affairs, guys who are struggling in their marriage, guys who are struggling in fatherhood and just feeling lost with it. I'm not an expert, never claimed to be. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm just a guy who's willing to share their story. That's it. I'm just willing to share my story, willing to be real, honest and open with you, willing to bring other people on who will know more than me, who can share their perspective that may help you too. Like, so I'm no expert. This isn't Dr. Benny, the family therapist or anything like that. Like, no, man, I love Jesus. I love my family. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love God's church. And I just want to share those things with you, because those are the things that have really helped me in turning my life around. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. If you need anything, comment on this. Let me know. Ask me a question. DM me. And as always, I'd appreciate if you guys would just like this video if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this, leave a rating. It helps the podcast get into somebody else's hands or eyes or ears, because when you leave a rating, it bumps it up on the algorithm. It bumps it up in the charts, and somebody else can listen that doesn't know about it. So, love you guys. Appreciate you. I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you here next week. So until next time, peace out.